Welcome to another episode of Was It Good? Today we are breaking down the first two episodes of Apple TV Plus's Foundation, a novel adapted series from Isaac Asimov. I'm Ravi, joined by only one brother today, Krishna. Arjuna was replaced and turned into a little Ewok thing over here. But you will be hearing Arjuna because he sent us sound recordings of his experience.
Oh, I thought we just turned him into that, and so he would be talking, this Ewok.
This Ewok thing?
Yes.
Maybe. And as always, Mr. Michael is over on the producer's table, making us sound beautiful.
Yes, and looking beautiful, too.
And looking beautiful,
Like the lighting, the whole thing.
The whole shebang.
Yeah.
I can only do so much. You bring the real beauty with you.
Oh, wow. That was a good underhanded blow and save. Nicely done.
Well played, well played.
Christian, before we break in, to one-word impressions, dislikes, reckless speculations.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Whole slew of things here for Foundation. Let me ask you a very simple question.
Yes?
I actually kind of just forgot the question.
That, my friend, is called old age. And
That is definitely setting very, very quick. No, the question I was going to ask you, when you were watching Foundation, were you able to get through both episodes back to back, or did you need a break? How did you kind of get through it?
Yeah, so actually, I had to watch them because I thought we were doing this podcast episode yesterday instead of today.
Wow.
So I was a bit behind the 8 ball. And so I ended up watching them sort of in pieces, but in one day. So I kind of watched it in between work, in between workouts, kind of like that. Usually I'd like to watch it all at once, but because I was like, I got to get this done, today. It was the day before yesterday. I was trying to get it done for the podcast yesterday, which ended up getting bumped to today. I had a less than ideal viewing experience, but it did not detract from my enjoyment of what we saw, of what I saw.
Wow.
Yeah. How about you? Did you go all the way through? Because I know you like explosions.
I'm what most people in media and content creation call a second screen viewer, which means I consistently have my iPhone out. I'm constantly on there, so I'm never really paying full attention to what's on the screen.
I've noticed that.
I'll say this, for the first episode, I was very much looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Because we talked a little bit, and I said that the first episode just felt like big-ass info dump, which, you have to do for a show like Foundation because it's world building. Like,
get galaxy building.
Yeah, galaxy building. This series, as I said at the top, is based off Isaac Asimov's book series. And Foundation, actually, I believe in the series, is in the middle. There's like 2 books that are pre-Foundation that kind of give more backstory to the Imperium, and then there's a whole bunch of shit in the future.
Yep.
Like it's a lot of multiple thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of years that the series takes place over.
Okay. Much like another
Dune,
which
yeah,
will be out fairly soon.
I believe. I don't actually know which one came first, Dune or Foundation.
I feel like it was Foundation, but do not quote me on that. I don't know for sure.
Perhaps Mr. Producer could let us know while I keep rambling here. But yeah, episode 1 definitely felt like a lot of info dumping, so I was on my phone. Episode 2, I was fully in. I did not go on my phone once.
Intro, okay.
So
hey, you know what? That's we call that evolution.
And that leads us into our one-word impression. And if you couldn't tell, my one-word impression was going to be info dump. And I know that is not a one-word thing, but
yeah, sorry, we can't allow it.
I can't go. Or fine, then info.
Go with exposition.
No, I like info.
All right, that's fine.
Info or information.
Information is a great word for this show.
I think it's a perfect word because in the first episode, and even if you look at just the marketing material in the trailer, it's the big thing is math. Math is the big thing, and math is all based on information. But the way math is being presented and treated a little bit in this series so far is very kind of religious, which is, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
According to what our producer found out, Dune came out in 1965. Foundation, 1942, published
when it was written.
and then published in 1951. So still before Dune.
So yeah, I think was that my guess? Yeah, I think I said Foundation came out first. So.
Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that.
So yeah. So you know how like all great things in the world has like a foil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm like totally like Rocky had Ivan Drago. This is a terrible example, but you know,
I would have said
Pokemon
Apollo.
has Digimon,
Right?
like Ali had Fraser,
like a yin and a yang type situation.
Yeah.
Not opposites, but I guess things that complement each other.
Yeah, or almost like responses to each other, and it's you know, Goku and Vegeta. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I get the impression that maybe Dune was sort of like I don't know if a response is the correct word, but it was definitely has to have been influenced by Foundation, right? And those are the kind of the issues that both writers were probably tackling, which is like projecting far out into the future, you know, during that time, the mid 1900s, I guess, projecting out far into the future, like where humanity could go. Kind of mind blowing if you think about it. If you think about the time when those things were written,
Right?
like they really like projected and very imaginative, like what they came up with.
Well, I mean, tons of world building. I mean, the first big epic, or one of the, no, I guess it's not the first. Let me take that back. But one of the more well-known world building series, Lord of the Rings, right? Which is a fantasy-based, you know, world building series. Dune, Foundation, similar, but obviously more sci-fi centric or sci-fi focused. Before we get to your one-word impression, Krishna, let's hear from special correspondent Arjuna, the Ewok that we have presented here on set. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
My one-word impression of Foundation has to be Thrones, as in Game of Thrones. I think Apple is trying to capture the magic of Game of Thrones with the show, kind of creating this sprawling, epic world with a lot of characters, a lot of different storylines that will, you know, have the internet buzzing and something that's kind of there to rally around and talk about. It's a show with a big scale, big ideas, and feels like it's not necessarily a Thrones replacement as it's HBO versus Apple, but it's just Thrones-esque in nature with a lot of names and a lot of lore, and I think it's going to take a few episodes and maybe for some people a few seasons before they're really situated and know where they're going with it. So my one word is Thrones.
That feels like
a very Arjuna
thing to say.
Yeah.
I think what we should do, because he's not here to defend himself.
Of course, it's just rip him apart.
That's just, why would Arjuna go, I kind of get it, but it also doesn't really fit with this show, because Thrones is a number of warring factions, right? And throughout that series, you get new factions and so forth. I'm not sure, we may get more, you know, right now, after the first two episodes, it's Imperium versus the mathematicians, the Foundation, right?
But there's also that that conflict, right, in the Outer Rim, or you know,
there are other worlds and other cultures,
into it, and then obviously but
they're
fuck those
right, but they're not. They're just things to kind of help destroy the Imperium. They're not necessarily
they're croutons.
Yeah, it's not like the Starks and the Lannisters, and then the Tyrells.
Yeah,
the other snake people.
Tyrells.
You know, there's a bunch of different factions.
Snake people.
I don't remember a lot about Game of Thrones. That last season,
honestly, that is impressive that you even remembered that much.
Yeah.
So, you know, well done.
I'd be curious to see after the first season if this show kind of like picks up steam and people are like, whoa, you definitely need to like check out Foundation. You know, similar like to Ted Lasso, it really picked up steam once it was done. Mythic Quest, another Apple TV show that people really kind of got behind after the first season came out.
Yeah.
I wonder if Foundation will be something similar where it's like, now that this show's done, it's got time to like sit around and people can binge it.
Morning show too, right?
Morning show was like one of their first original.
Oh, that did well?
That did well. And really, you know, people were like, yeah, I love this, love that. I don't know though. because Foundation is presenting a lot of kind of out there ideas.
Yeah.
And again, like back to that first episode, here's a lot of information. I'm sure I missed a shit ton of information.
Oh yeah, of course.
Can you even name the two ambassador planets?
Thespis, maybe, and
I got a better one. Blue-eyed people, and then people that wear dragon armor.
there you go. There you go.
That's all I
like
got.
that. I like that. Or the men and the women, because the representatives seem pretty cut right down the middle. There you go.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
Your one-word impression.
Chernobyl.
Because of
Jared Harris. Jared
okay.
Harris, our mathematician. I like to every time he was on screen and talking specifically about math, and it reminds me so much of his character from Chernobyl, where obviously he was playing a nuclear physicist, I think.
Math. He was playing math.
He was just playing math. Yeah.
Yes.
And I just kept having the thought that this is just that character. If he was able to live for another 7,000 years, he progressed beyond nuclear fission and went into
psychomath.
Oh my god.
Basically, from what I understand, it's a theoretical math to like help predictive modeling, essentially.
Predictive modeling for large sums of people.
Yeah.
What I really liked about
which is like a very kind of like that's a very Westworld.
Oh yeah.
Season 3 thing where it's like, remember the brothers that used the AI system to predict people's what they're going to do.
The reason I also like that idea is that it only works for a very large number of people. And we're not even talking billions. That might even be too small. We're talking trillions
of people, yeah.
And that's why I like it, because you would think that on some level is true. Once you get into that, it probably even works for billions too, right? But once you get to that like number, you're like, yeah, you probably could, with the right information, do pretty well predicting certain things. So,
well, I mean, even
it's not like outside the realm of possibility,
Well, I mean, our social media apps are already kind of doing that, right?
That's true.
They are consistently scraping our information and our habits and creating predictive models.
Yeah.
And that's how advertisers are figuring out with, hey, this kid is watching tons of YouTube videos on cameras. Let's serve him up some camera ads. Yeah. Oh, look at that. He just bought a lens.
Ooh, yeah.
I didn't buy any lenses just yet. I saw one recently. So.
Oh man. Ooh, I can see you sweating. You're slipping.
No, all
You're gonna buy it by
all my energy and stuff is going into like Tesla accessories.
Oof.
Because I'm a Tesla.
You still gotta give us the was it good on that.
Yeah, I should probably also like start recording a video and giving my thoughts on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Should probably start somewhere. Obviously, it's 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
And I didn't preface this at the top. Out of the 3 of us, nobody has read the Isaac Asimov book series. I personally have decided not to read into any of the Wikipedia articles or watch the thousands of YouTube explainer videos out there for it. I want to really kind of see the series for what the series is, where it's like you're presented just this series. That means you need to do the work within the series to understand what's happening, et cetera, et cetera. So, all of our thoughts are going to just be around the series. So, we have like our fun section, reckless speculation. We know that we could easily go and confirm or deny these things. I think the other thing too that's important is, Apple TV Plus and the creators of the show have said it's an adaptation.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a page for page, pull of what's written in the book. So it could change, right? Like it could very much be a Game of Thrones situation.
God. Yeah. Well, unlike Game of Thrones, these books, as far as I know, are finished. I think. I assume Asimov finished them.
It's 5 books, I believe, but
he didn't prematurely die before he finished, did he?
I don't think so.
We don't know.
We don't know.
That'd be hilarious if he did. Didn't the Dune guy die prematurely? Like the Dune guy didn't finish.
Yeah,
the
his
Dune
is not
series.
done.
Whoa, what is it about these crazy works and?
It's because they take so fucking long to like put together.
Or the art drains them of their life force.
What the fuck?
And then they die before they can finish.
So anyway, like I was saying, we're going to go real quick and kind of see what we dislike so far about these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't have mine right off the top of my head, so I think let's roll with Arjuna's first,
Yeah.
and then we'll use that
As a springboard.
as a springboard, which most likely I'll just be like, I disagree with everything Arjuna says. So that's what my dislike section could be. But yeah, let's roll Arjuna's dislike section.
If I had to pick something I disliked about the first 2 episodes, it's probably the first half of the second episode in general. It just felt like a different show from what we're shown in the first episode, which is, essentially a pilot. A first episode normally for a TV show serves as your guiding point. Your here's what the show is about. Here's what we're going to be about. And, really most of the second half of the show was just like these people on a ship just kind of struggling to survive. Some characters, there obviously have been a time jump of some type with our main characters now on their way to their new planet to start the Foundation. And it just felt like characters' motivations had changed. And, while they were discussed a little bit and shown, it just felt like a leap for some of these characters. And while the second half was definitely a little bit more fast-paced and more exciting, I'm still a little confused and want to see, obviously, where some of these character motivations came from, right? And why some of the decisions that were made, some of the decisions that happened were made, So there's definitely a lot of mystery and intrigue. And I think for like sci-fi shows in particular, they're hard to do week to week because there is so much going on and you want as complete of a picture as you can get. So kind of doing the weekly mystery and dangling thread points is a little bit tougher, I think, than other genres. But, despite that being my most disliked part, I still think there's a lot of positive, obviously, for this show.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
almost like he's actually here. He is.
I know.
It's the exact same amount of time
Yep.
that he would be talking. So actually, he did bring up an excellent point because that was surprising, right? The time jump and the leap, just the going from the situation in episode 1 to the situation in episode 2 with the crew, with the Foundation traveling to Terminus.
The Foundation.
At first I agree it was slightly jarring, but I actually liked it because to me what that says is the show's not going to dilly dally.
Right.
On
you got shit to do. Yeah.
You know how like some of our complaints about some of the big shows are like the stupid romances, that I don't really care about. I just care about the situation.
Right.
This show, it seems like, is really is going to be like, okay, yeah, here's a little romance. Oh, by the way, it might be over now.
Real quick though, what was the time jump though surprising in the second episode? Because remember, our first when we're dropped in episode 1, we are blasted 35 years in the future.
That's a good point.
In on Terminus. Terminator planet.
No, Terminus.
The rock planet. And we're also
Dune.
we're also introduced to a character who we still don't know diddly squat about by the end of episode 2.
She's the chosen one.
I theorize like she's the child
She could be.
of somebody important, maybe.
She's the grown-up girl we're watching with Harris.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think so.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
No,
it
she
is.
says that.
No.
I
No.
thought she did. I thought she said it, and it said flashed ahead, and it said 15 years later, and then
Well, it's
showed
35 years later.
35 years later.
Yeah.
It showed
Yeah,
her.
and for one thing, the accents are completely different, which would be a weird oversight on their part if it was the same. And 2, there's a line I think right near the end where our main character, the young girl from 35 years previously, says is talking about her as as a different person. So you're right; it could be the same person, but I
But
strongly
also
got the impression it was.
actors look similar in age, right? So I wouldn't believe that character had aged 35 years. I think
watched the
they're two.
whole 2 episodes, assuming they were the same person.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't
Because
think so, yeah.
Lobel is Gal Dornick, who is the
young prodigy.
the young prodigy of Harry Seldon. And I'd have to find, and I believe it's Leah Harvey, who's playing Salvor Hardin, who is that character on
Right.
Terminus.
Yeah.
Terminus.
So I mean, it could be, but yeah,
I thought she was the only one left.
yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, and that's the thing, right? It's and Arjuna did. I think when he said thrones, the one part of that I also agreed with was that there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of information, so it's gonna take just a little bit.
Oh yeah,
to orient ourselves, especially with these time jumps as well.
I will say this though. I don't know if you tuned into the season 2, episode 1 of the morning show pod that Arjuna and I did when you were out.
I did not.
One of the things that was hilarious is they have a time jump in that show, and I missed it. A lot of people actually seem to have missed it.
I did read your tweet about it, I think.
And I'm wondering, like, are we potentially going to see that problem in this show? Especially in episode, because in episode 1, we had title screens that said 35 years later, 30, whatever. In this episode 2, you know, it's just a character saying, we've been traveling at this speed or whatever, and it's been this long, right? There's no actual title sequences or whatever. So it's very possible that you may miss time jumps.
Yeah.
Which could be a problem. Like
that's why you gotta. I guess that's why you have to pay attention to the characters, right?
Right.
Like you assume that they'll keep. Hopefully, well, who knows? Because here's the other thing too. Like they set up like obviously interstellar travel requires some kind of hibernation, which I'm still a little, a little cloudy on.
Oh, hey, let me explain it.
Math, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you know what? All of my confusion is gone now.
You're welcome.
You have enlightened me with the religion.
Hold on. Math projected as a bunch of sand in the sky.
Oh, very nice. Also,
You're welcome.
a little geometric 3D shape.
Also
math.
Also an iPad that's just basically glass, and you scribble on it. Math.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God, love it.
Don't know why. Some of the technology just seems a little like what? It's kind of weird. Like here's a good one. Episode 1, right? The gigantic space column that they use.
Yeah.
The big elevator, right?
Yeah.
Feels very, very stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
it does feel inefficient.
Very. How long did they say it
Actually,
takes?
very
Efficient.
Good idea. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
We're heading that direction. as
Just
we
building a
speak.
giant. Yeah. I mean,
That's the next step.
I
the
guess
idea-
if you figure it out,
Yeah.
figure out the physics of it, and it's a way to save energy instead of, I guess they haven't developed teleportation. They haven't. That must be
It's gravity.
A
It's
more.
free.
It's free. It's just standing there.
Yeah, except when it blows up and then it falls. And how many people? 10 million people were killed in that attack?
I mean, like what about the sun nearby, right? Where there's a solar flare, something that big would get. How could it not be affected? How about moons going around and the gravity of
Asteroids.
interstellar objects?
Yeah.
Like to me,
don't
it's,
build it in the moon's orbit.
yeah, sure, okay, that's one. But the sun, like suns have solar flares that cause gravitational disturbances on Earth. Obviously,
On Earth,
they figured
but
it out.
it's floating in space. They don't.
Yeah, it's still going to get hit with radiation.
Yeah, but
of some
those don't
sort.
drop anything orbiting in our orbit. So
Solar
we have
flares.
a lot of stuff in our orbit right now, trash and
Yeah.
old spaceship parts.
Oh
and-
yeah. No, I'm talking more
None
about
of that
like
falls.
obviously we're not physicists and stuff, so
No,
but that
it's
could
true.
very well be a way to figure it out. But it's like to me. I mean, I know they're not going to explain the math of it, I guess. So
A
unless
show
they do.
about math, not explaining math? Oh, boy.
Yeah. But they haven't really. Yeah, it's just there, and then
Yes.
they figured it out, and it
I
works.
get, but I said, like, again, I think math isn't really, it is math, but it's also being used as like a culty, religious-y thing, which kind of makes sense. I mean, a lot of, it's based on things that some people understand and then some people don't understand. And
It's being used as a means to further a belief system.
yeah, Harry's
it's kinda
belief
like-
system.
It's an unfortunate example, but it'd be like the whole vaccination debate going on right now.
Yeah.
People sort of are using information to bolster
Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, there's Andrew Wiggins.
LeBron did come out and say he used his own research,
Yeah.
whatever that is,
Yeah.
to get vaccinated.
Well,
so.
that's the research that is quote unquote
Yeah.
accepted research, right? So, but it's like math is being propped up as like this thing, but it is still just a tool to further this idea that this guy can predict the future and it's going to end poorly, and therefore you should do things.
Who's the actor that originally did The Office, the British comedian?
Oh, Ricky Gervais.
So Ricky Gervais and Stephen Colbert. Ricky Gervais was on Stephen Colbert's show, and they were talking about atheism, various religions, and science. And Stephen Colbert was challenging Ricky Gervais and asking questions like, "Who's to say science is just not another religion?"
Yeah.
And because Ricky Gervais's argument with religion is, we use religion as a way to kind of explain things that we can't explain, right?
Yeah.
Like back in the day, thousands of years ago, 7 days, Christianity, the sun going up. There's a whole slew of religious things that were used to kind of explain the world and how it is.
Yeah, how it worked, yeah.
And how it worked. And, Colbert's argument is, but you could argue that science is that as well. And Ricky Gervais said something I think is just fascinating and amazing. And it was, religions have come and gone, for thousands and thousands of years, as long as mankind has been around. Mm-hmm. If, Christianity disappeared just like that tomorrow, along with science as we know it tomorrow or today, just both disappeared. In 100 years, man will go back and rediscover science. Because science is based on factual things, right?
Well, it's based on observation.
Right. Observable things,
Yeah.
and and actual like building blocks and things that we will go back and rediscover.
Right.
While religion is
Based on faith.
is based on faith
Belief.
and an individual's interpretation, right? So I thought that was kind of an interesting way to kind of like debate between religion and sciences and stuff.
And math.
And math. Right?
Math. Yeah.
I mean, the Imperium,
It's
right?
always going to be an interesting debate. That's
Yeah.
Well, I know you're not Ricky Gervais, but my question is, which did we find first? And if we had to start over, would we not find that one first again, regardless of its efficacy and truthfulness?
I mean, again, it depends, right? It depends on the situations, right? A lot of people, historians believe, if the Dark Ages never happened, we'd be flying in cars right now or whatever, right? The Dark Ages put us back because there was this idea of destroying all of sciences and art and all that fun stuff.
I have a weird joke. Yeah, it's probably not appropriate, so never mind.
All right, we'll keep pushing through.
Yeah, just push through. Oh, that's true. Actually,
No, we're not, because I want to go back and have to recut it out, because I will
but if we
forget.
have a time code.
We will forget.
Oh.
Just us at the end. And if you want to know Christian's joke, make sure you follow him on
Squish_life on Twitter.
He'll probably not put the joke there either, but
I think it's a pretty funny joke.
tell the joke then.
We would have flying cars if it wasn't for Republicans.
How is that a bad joke?
Oh, I don't know. We're trying to we're not going to want to alienate half the audience.
That's fine.
I don't know if half the audience is. Yeah, I don't
Could
know
you
if
imagine if the
makeup-
majority-
We need to poll our audience.
No,
we
we
need their
don't.
political affiliation.
Nope.
We need their religious.
No.
We need their favorite kind of math.
Their
Yeah.
sexual orientation?
Yes.
No.
No.
I like the idea of polling.
No,
and-
we draw the line right
no.
there.
I like the idea of polling what their favorite type of math is.
Geometry.
Are you a geometry person? Are you into algebra?
Oh, geometry was my favorite. I sucked at everything else. That was so bad.
Speaking of things that suck, did you have anything you like for our section here of dislike? I would say some of the technology aspects were a little kind of goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, this was written, 50s, 60s. So that's kind of my thing.
40s.
40s.
Yeah.
Was there anything you found that you didn't like in these first two episodes?
Honestly, no. I spent the whole time just trying to absorb as much as I could. So I didn't really have time to look for things I didn't like, if that makes sense. And also, nothing really stood out to me that I was like, I dislike this. Now, as the show goes on, and I think we get more comfortable with the material, and if I was to go back and rewatch them, I think I would easily come up with some things like, I don't like this, I don't like this.
Right.
But for the first few episodes, I was like, just trying to get all the information into my brain. And it was such a neat package for me. Like the visuals were stunning. I thought the acting was great. So yeah, I can't point to any one thing and be like, I dislike that, because to be honest, I don't know enough.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I believe this is going to be a 10-episode run, so we have
Nice.
at the very least 8 more weeks. So the first 2 episodes came out this past Thursday. Last Thursday was a pretty big day for Apple TV. You had new Ted Lasso, Foundation dropped, the morning show dropped, like a whole slew of shit dropped, which is cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's get. I mean, again, we are kind of going off of very limited information here, but I always like to ask us our reckless speculation pieces.
Oh yeah, of course.
Before we let Arjuna's voice recording play, do you have any speculation right off the?
Oh man, reckless speculation. Yeah, I mentioned it before, and I think it's highly unlikely, but I think it would be really cool. So we have a brother Dusk, we have a brother Day, we have the brother Dawn.
Right.
I went backwards there, but
Yep.
those are the three, and then basically, real quick, those are clones of an original emperor, and they've been ruling for a long, long time, just cloning this one guy, and it seems like these three versions, a kid,
Middle age.
Youthful looking, prime, I guess prime.
Someone in their 30s, 40s.
Physically and mental prime, I suppose. And then an elderly version. And the three aspects of this, or the three ages of this one person rule together. I like the idea that there's a brother knight out there. And we talked about it a little bit before.
And he's the mathematician.
Oh, yeah. He's a rival mathematician. Whoa. And again, I think it is unlikely because our producer brought up a good point. It's like, from what we've been presented so far, it doesn't, the way that the Imperium is being run, this empire, it doesn't seem like that's something they would invest in. They seem to be very much kind of blunt, like, this is how it is. Peace. They have that saying, right? Peace and respect or something. So having a brother knight, it doesn't seem like they even need it, to be honest, right? To me, a brother knight would suggest like someone who operates in the shadows. It would be cool though if our brother Dawn, Day, and Dusk aren't even aware of a brother knight, and if not, then who would have set that up? Whatever. So
yeah, the robot lady could have done it.
Yeah, I mean, and she had an interesting line too, right? Her people or her kind
the robots
were destroyed by the humans, and she's the only one left. And it seems I think it's implied that she's been the only one for a long time now,
and she's been looking over the emperors.
Yeah,
forever,
for a while. Yeah, and she's very confident she's going to be around for a while too.
Even though a rock fell on her, and then it cut her arm,
and then she repaired it.
Right, but
while our brother Dawn looked on with confused eyes.
Silly brother Dawn. All right, let's hear Arjuna's reckless speculation.
Can't wait
I have a theory before we play his.
Oh, nice. Oh, speculate on his speculation.
My speculation, Arjuna's reckless speculation, is it's going to be tame.
Oh, nice. Someone will die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. All right, let's hear it.
My reckless speculation, I think, has to be Harry asked Rach to stab him.
Oh, come on!
I think that was
That's pretty obvious.
the intention of everything that's happening, right? Harry in the first episode specifically talks about math and how math doesn't lie, and the numbers are kind of these cold hard truths. And in the second episode, especially at the beginning, he talks about how he didn't expect to be there. He had all these calculations that the Foundation would go on, and like he wasn't supposed to be there with the crew, and it's clearly affecting the crew in positive and negative ways. So I feel like Rach is certainly a very different character from episode 1 to episode 2. There's this kind of conflict with Harry that's present in the second episode that I don't think you get as much of in episode 1. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions of why Rach did what he did and whatnot. So I think it will end up being revealed that this was kind of Harry's plan all along. Very similar, obviously, honestly, to the Dumbledore Snape reveal of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, where Harry only saw Snape kill Dumbledore, but as we found out later in the Deathly Hallows, the final book, it was under Dumbledore's order. So maybe there's something similar to that. I do think Harry is probably dead or out of commission, but Jared Harris is listed as a main character, so I'm sure he's going to show up in a lot of flashbacks or recorded videos or that type of thing to continue on his legacy.
How is Arjuna going to bring up Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows, and not point out that Rach is Dean Thomas from the Harry Potter series? Come on, man.
It's very possible, like me, he didn't realize.
It is possible, but I'd be shocked. He usually has a pretty good... Okay, your cat is all up in your space here.
Yeah, I know.
Are you comfortable with that?
It's fine.
No boundaries. So I thought that seemed, fairly obvious.
Yeah, that was super obvious.
Yeah.
I'll take it a step further. I think the Harry that was killed is a robot or a clone or not the actual Harry.
Mm.
And the reason I bring that up is because, we get those lines from the caretaker, the caretaker of the Emperor, where she's a robot. They all died in the robot war. She's been around for whatever. I think, that Harry that we saw that was killed was like a robot or some kind of clone thing or something.
Yeah.
And that the real Harry is either still, back on the main planet over there or is somewhere on the ship. I do agree with him that it makes sense to remove Harry so that the crew can kind of rehone their thinking and like really focus on the Foundation and not what Harry wants, right? Because you could argue that what Harry's gone and done with sticking all these people on a ship, he's very Jim Jonesy, right? Like take a bunch of people, pull them away from everything they know, as opposed to let them figure it out and like really, own it and push it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
If Harry's whole thing is he wants to do this for the better of mankind, then him being there or not being there shouldn't matter, right? The tools are there. If people really care, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I guess the bigger question, right, for that whole situation is why did Raish send off our young prodigy in an escape pod? Now, the only reason I can think of that he would do that is that she wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't supposed to walk in on that, and so he didn't want her implicated in the murder. I assume that he's assuming that he's going to be executed, imprisoned, whatever, and he sent her off because if the holograms, if I assume they're camera feeds, maybe I don't
Probably.
know. People also, one guy saw them,
Yep,
running out of the room with the corpse,
with a bloody knife,
bloody
and blood
murder,
everywhere.
Which is in the pod with her.
The
knife is in the pod with her. Yep.
Yeah. So, I assume that's why he did it, but that seems like a very obvious reason. So, I think maybe there's more to it. Maybe Harry asked him to have her go off on her own. Maybe the Foundation mission is this mysterious thing, right? There's obviously more to it than meets the eye. There's clearly many parts to this thing, to this plan. So, yeah, I think we're in wait and see mode at the moment. Very interesting, very intriguing. Good way to end an episode, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that I was surprised by was the fact that they only did 2 episodes and not the traditional 3, which makes me think then that like episode 3
shit gets down.
Like I think we're gonna like start kicking into high gear.
Yeah,
I know I should keep my expectations,
neutral.
But the fact that by episode 2 you ended on such a big like, banger essentially. Like one of the main characters might be dead.
Yeah,
and another main character or love interest of a main character committed murder of that main character. So that's a pretty heavy way to like. Cool. Here are 2 episodes. See you next week. Bye.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if episode 3 is gonna be. Episode 3 might actually be more tame. Now that I think about it, as opposed to like. Because you wouldn't want to end on a tame episode, right? You would want to end on a...
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
But it also means, though, because, like, traditionally they do 3 episodes, because it takes 3 episodes to get things going in the Apple TV Plus sphere for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, the first 2 are usually world building, info dumping, and then stuff gets kind of real. So maybe things are going to go quicker. Who knows? I guess we'll find out on Thursday.
Yeah. But honestly, that's why I'm sort of... happy about the time jump because again it feels like they're not dilly-dallying. They're just
they're getting ready to go.
Here, we're just gonna hit there's so much,
right?
They only have time for the main points, which is great.
Yeah. Obviously Isaac Asimov wrote a shit ton of sci-fi. He also was a ghostwriter and
oh really?
He released there's a ton of Isaac Asimov stuff out there that we don't even like know about supposedly.
That's crazy.
Foundation obviously is his bigger one, I guess one of his more well-known series.
Yeah.
Obviously it comes from the 40s. Is there any other classic sci-fi movie, novels, anything that you've seen that this kind of reminds you of?
Yeah.
And is that a positive or a negative?
Yeah, I feel like we should preface this with we don't mention Dune, right? Like the parallels are too obvious there, so we
It's
should
like
take that off the table.
Yeah.
Take it off the table.
Dune gone.
Dune's gone. Yeah. This one, this isn't classic, but I was reminded a little bit of Arrival, the movie with Jeremy Renner and
Amy Adams.
Thank you. I almost said Jessica Chastain. Oh, my bad. A little bit of that, and just really one specific element, or a couple elements maybe. The idea, first of all, where we're shown this thing in the first episode, this like monolith, floating monolith, and no one can really get close to it. And so the fact that at the end of, or near the end, I think of episode 2, we see the lady touch it, and we got like this voiceover saying, and that's when everything was unlocked. So I got vibes of Amy Adams, getting into the big ship, and then Amy Adams, it's almost like a mirror image. Amy Adams was using language to unlock a piece of her brain,
right,
to communicate with the aliens and figure out how to think past, present, and future simultaneously. Right. This is using math to unlock maybe the secrets of this show. So it's
right.
I feel like there's like sort of parallels, or like mirror images of each other there. So
what you're saying is in the future when schools are like, we can't afford teachers, we can only show students movies.
Oh yeah.
Foundation and Arrival will be your English class.
Yeah, there you go.
And Foundation is your math class.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's a good world.
Actually, I love that idea of education just being movies.
I mean, I can see no problems there.
None.
Not one.
Not a single. And 24 can be political science. Political science.
I mean, that kind of works, actually.
Oh man, I don't know.
And then a crime drama is like your crime law class or whatever.
Yeah. Law and Order is too, like it's too procedural.
Yeah,
like you'd learn too much from it probably.
Yeah,
so,
CSI.
You'd
Yeah,
need like
CSI.
Or my personal favorite for your law class, Walk a Texas Ranger.
No,
Take
Dexter.
the law into your own hands.
Dexter's a better one. Yeah.
I mean, he shows you how to circumvent the law.
Yeah, exactly.
So the best crime fighters should know.
Yeah. How to get around.
The masterminds are thinking.
Right. How does a serial killer get around it?
How do you counter their counters?
Mindhunters would be another good one.
Ooh, that's
because they literally talk to serial killers.
That is true. That's true. And then the Mummy can be your history class.
There you go. No other history is needed.
No.
We just solved the American education system.
I think, and we did it,
did in like
pennies,
2 minutes.
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. In terms of classic sci-fis, I think, or this feels or reminds me of, it's kind of crazy to say, but none really come to mind. It does feel like it's its own separate thing, especially with all the world building that's happening. The low-hanging fruit one is going to be Dune because of how large it is. You could argue a little bit there's if Star Wars was not in the hands of Disney, that maybe this is what Star Wars could feel like, because Star Wars is a huge galaxy. It's not just Skywalkers, Jedi, and Sith. It feels very tiny.
Because of the 10
very, very tiny. While this, they've done in just 2 episodes, they've done a really good job to make the galaxy feel fucking huge.
Yeah.
So if anything, I would say other sci-fi can learn from Foundation and like that world building aspect.
Yeah.
And Arjuna, let's hear what you think this reminds you of.
Yeah, I don't think I have a good comp for a classic sci-fi novel or movie that this reminds me of. I think Foundation is unique in terms of just its look and feel. I think Apple TV has a certain aesthetic to its shows that are a little bit different from some of the other streaming services, and I think that's certainly present here within the show that we have. But there's nothing that really kind of sticks out to me. Maybe this is slightly random, but it actually reminds me a little bit, at least the look of the show, actually of like the Planet of the Apes movies, the new trilogy, specifically the last one with like War of the Planet of the Apes. And maybe that's just the dystopian look of the Earth at that point versus seeing kind of the volcanic look of the planet they're going to and the kind of ruins of the capital world as it has been devastated from the attack. And maybe those are the vibes I'm getting. But yeah, nothing necessarily jumps out as like a 1-to-1 comp or an obvious comp for me.
That's almost similar take than what I said.
Yeah.
Wow. Copycat.
Kind of this is an interesting one. I don't quite see it.
I don't see it at all.
Because the Empire, the Imperium, looks... It reminds me of Coruscant.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but there you go. Like
big ass galaxy, tons of flying aliens. Also Ronan, same actor that plays
there you go.
Day. So boom, did it. Boom. That's what it reminds me of. Yeah. But real quick, who's your favorite character so far?
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, who is it?
Jared Harris. Jared Harris, the Selden, Harry Selden. Not Harry Potter.
Mine's Day.
Day? Yeah, I can see that.
He's scary.
He's great.
That shit's scary.
He's got a very regal presence.
Yep.
So that's why he was great as Ronin. That's why he's great in this. What else has he been in?
Have you guys seen *Halt and Catch Fire*? That's where I first saw him. He was in *Pushing Daisies*. That's where I think he got his start, which is also a really great little show.
Wait, wasn't he wasn't that more like lighthearted?
Yeah, *Pushing Daisies*. It was a kind of a lighthearted but dark. It was his. Something about everybody he touches dies or something. And then,
no! It's where everyone he touches, he sees like how they died or their last moments
but he
or something.
Falls in love with somebody and he can't touch her. That's kind of what it is. But yeah, *Halt and Catch Fire*. Amazing.
*Halt and Catch Fire*. I'm going to have to check that out.
Lee Pace, Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie, Mark O'Brien, all sorts of great people in that.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
I like it.
I like it too.
Ooh. Oh, that's okay. Yes, that was the AMC show. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I meant to check that out when it first aired, and I completely missed it.
Oh.
So, whoopsie. Krishna, I think it's that time.
Oh, okay.
Arjuna, was Foundation episode 1 and 2 good?
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that Krishna asked me if this was good. And I'm going to say that Foundation's first 2 episodes were, in fact, good. I liked the first episode more than the second episode. I thought the first episode did a good job of introducing you to this interesting world, and a lot of interesting things happened. And episode 2 just felt a little bit more uneven, but I think there's enough there in these first 2 episodes that kind of have me intrigued and hooked in terms of what's happening in this world and where the show is kind of going to go. So I would say it's good. I'm excited to see what the rest of the first season kind of brings and what the show is like. And I'm going to now toss it over to Ravi. Ravi, was the Foundation's first 2 episodes good?
Oh, that's funny. This is what happened when you don't listen to the recordings first.
I love it.
Probably should have had Learman.
It's way better.
It's chaotic.
Way, yeah. So go ahead and ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, it was good. I'm gonna disagree though that because Arjuna said the first episode was better than the second. I think the second is miles ahead of the first. We got to see the Imperium. We got to see how scary it can be, and we also are starting to see the problems within the Imperium. And I think that's interesting television because, yes, you can talk these grand scales of math and the Imperium and the end of everything, but unless you get to those kind of core, like these characters, it's just top of the funnel, big talking, and nothing really matters, right? So second one is definitely better, I think.
Wow.
I get to ask twice.
Yeah.
This is new. Krishna, was Foundation the story of math good?
Math was the true hero in this story. It was great. I liked it a lot. I liked both episodes, I think, pretty evenly, but again, I was watching them back to back, so it really felt like one giant episode to me. So yeah, but I really enjoyed it. The visuals were very, very good. The acting was really good. The situation is awesome. So yeah, just to mirror you guys, what you've said, this whole the Imperium is probably the most interesting thing right now.
Right.
Just the concept of this guy who clones himself 3 times at different stages of his life. I just that's like the most interesting thing to me right now, and there's tons of interesting
Real
things.
quick though, it's not that he, or from what I picked up, is that he's not cloning himself so that there is always a day, right? It's he clones himself,
and then they just grow up.
and they grow up,
Yeah.
and they go through the phases.
Wait, well, is that confirmed? Because I
don't know.
feel like that's probably it too,
Yeah.
but we don't know.
When
for
do
sure.
they start a new dawn?
When the current one probably hits a certain age,
or loses their mind or whatever,
or maybe when Dusk dies.
yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I would
so
imagine it
there's
has
always
to be when Dusk dies.
Yeah.
Then is when you kick off and start the next process.
Yeah.
Granted, if this person's been cloning themselves for centuries,
Yeah.
their diet and all that fun stuff is probably they know. Like if let's say if this character once they hit like 50, they start drinking whiskey every day and red meat. And by the time they're 65, they die of a heart attack.
But we saw though their life is very regimented.
Right.
In fact, all three of them are eating practically the same thing, right?
Right.
So you would assume that they are the epitome of health. But maybe.
Well, I would say though Dusk, because Dusk
Yeah.
was always drinking.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like
and
Dusk always had to, like for the most part was like I think 65% of the time had a drink in his hand.
who's your favorite emperor? Day, right?
Day's my
Yeah,
favorite.
I think I like Dusk the most. Dusk.
That's because Dusk is getting to the point of like the day's coming to an end, so it's like fuck it, I'm
That's
gonna
true.
drink.
He's
I'm gonna drink.
He's gonna break protocol.
Yeah.
He's gonna. But he seems to have shown the most humanity of the three so far. Well, I
Because
guess,
he's
the
older.
kids.
It's because he's older. Yeah.
Yeah, he's older. He's got
Yeah.
perspectives. I think the main thing I like with that concept is that you look at Dusk and you realize Dusk is going to resemble Day, and then you look at Day, Lee Pace, and you think at some point he's going to resemble Dusk,
Mhm.
right? And so I want to see that progression, or will he, or is the situation different enough where he'll be a different Dusk,
Mm-hmm.
And I just and what was when Dusk, the current Dusk was Day.
Yeah.
Did he know that's what he's going to turn into? So did he let himself turn into what he saw? Is Day going to let himself turn into this current Dusk?
Probably.
Or do they actively take steps
I don't.
to
I
be
don't
different?
think. I don't think so because their environment changes, right? So, for example, when the current Dusk was Day,
Yeah.
there probably wasn't a big terrorist attack that knocked out the
problems
the
are different.
bridge. Yeah,
Right.
the problems of the galaxy that they're ruling completely different. But I think what's interesting about that concept is Day has the experiences of Dusk because Dusk is there
Yeah.
to kind of help him
That's why
guide.
there's three of them and they help each
Right,
other,
it's
yeah.
good collaboration.
Yeah.
But it does seem like Day has the most influence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does-
because I
Day
think
takes
Day
point.
is like
He's the prime, right?
he's the point
Yeah.
of every he's the main head honcho.
I think it's pretty interesting though. So let's just project that out a little bit further. So if we assume that Dusk was the prime ruler during a more peaceful time, right? And now Day's coming into it, and he's strong, ruled by fear and intimidation and force. I'd love to see how Dawn is going to get royally fucked up by seeing all this stuff, and if he's going to become a full-out tyrant, because now his formative years are going to be this. It seems like this period of bloodshed and strife. Oh man, he's going to be like a total lunatic.
I wonder if that's where the math comes into play.
Maybe this is
Where it's like
there
if
we
the
go.
world is getting worse and worse and worse, then the individual is also going to get worse
He's
and
going
worse
to get
and
more
worse.
corrupted.
Yeah, to deal with the consequences.
Or he's going to feel like he has to go even further. If Day fails,
Yeah.
the current Day fails, he's like, I have to go even
harder. Yeah,
and full on tyranny. It's really cool. And I think that's why it's my favorite part.
yeah.
Because we have a prophecy, right? For all intents and purposes, we have a prophecy, and I can't wait to see how they're not heroes, how these characters basically dig their own grave.
Yeah.
We have a prophecy, and you would think it's probably going to come true. So let's see how it's done and how they, fuck it all up.
I'm curious, do you think Dawn is a clone of Dusk or Day? Or do you think they're all a clone of the original person always?
Yeah, I believe there's a line in the first episode where it says they're clones of the original Cleon. But I can't say that for certain.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because you did also mention, if they just kept cloning copies of the copy, eventually
corruption,
the
defect.
Well, I mean that's
Corruption.
that's again, we don't know if that's the actual case in this future because
maybe they got rid of defects.
yeah, exactly. They could be able to make perfect clones like that. So.
The fact that they have, it seems like a preserved body of the original Cleon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like that kind of suggests that they are clones of the OG.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be important to them to be like, the original.
Everybody wants a
this is
statue
strong-
of themselves.
This is a strong dynasty.
Right.
The original obviously set this up so that he would live forever and rule forever. This is just a form of that, right?
It's
So
the ultimate.
yeah.
It's the ultimate. You know, they say like in order for you to love another person, you have to love yourself first.
This guy definitely.
This
loves
guy
himself.
loved himself.
Yeah. You know, I know we're totally going overtime here. The one other aspect I love of this Trinity is that Dusk has accepted who he is, and then this image of Cleon. And this is all credit to Lee Pace. I thought the acting was great. You can tell that Day is like uncomfortable with this thing of Cleon. And I think there's even a line between them where Day's like, I never come up here, it makes me uncomfortable. Or Dust says that to Day, it's like, you never come up here, it makes you uncomfortable or something.
Yeah.
And I was the same way when I was your age. Something like to that effect. It's great. It's super, super cool to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the cooler aspects.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's also important to remember that it is going to be darkest before the dawn.
Oh my God. Stop it.
Always.
And with that, we're going to wrap it here. Thank you for tuning in and listening. We well, actually, not all of us. Krishna and Arjuna will be back this Friday for a new pod on something. So be sure to check out Twitter at Was It Good, Instagram and TikTok at Was It Good Pod to find out what that pod's going to be on. You can, as always, watch our pods on youtube.com/wasitgood. We also have our great website, wasitgood.info, with our newsletter coming shortly. Bye.
Goodbye.
Boop, boop.